for February 25th to order at 7:08 p.m. 7:09 p.m., excuse me, the clock on the wall is off, in the Slade Building Conference Room. And this meeting is being recorded and will be on YouTube and the local station in short order. First item is to review and approve minutes from January 14th and January 28th. Alrighty, look at the 14th last time. I make a motion that we approve the minutes from January 14th and January 28th as written. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Judy, second. All in favor?
All in favor.
All right, approved. And next on the agenda is a COVID-19 flu Maven update. Judy, are you all set? Give us a little
Yeah, no,
update of anything?
I don't have a report, but Diana, we need to set a date,
Okay.
so we could do a calendar. I'm pretty free, and then we could sit down and work at it.
At the Maven,
Yeah.
On the Maven.
right.
So in essence, training for Diana?
So she'll be a backup
Nice.
trained person, so that we have two.
Actually, I wanna make her primary.
Oh, to be
We need a
discussed.
backup.
To be discussed.
Overtime. As we don't get too many of those cases, it's not a bad thing to be involved with.
No, mostly flu and usual stuff.
According to the state reports, the flu rates are quite high right now, and COVID-19 was rising, and I think it's now starting to decline a little bit, according to the state email that I get. The big concern nationally is, of course, that in Texas, there's been over 80 cases of measles, mostly in communities that
Low vaccination rate?
no vaccination rate. The problem with measles and not getting vaccinated, to have it on record, is that when children are young, they can die from measles. And of those 80 plus cases, the national NIH said over 22% are hospitalized because they haven't had a vaccination. And that is well over 2x the number of hospitalizations they would normally see from measles. So, folks are listening, do get the vaccines, the measles, mumps, and rubella, all that. Those MMR shots have been out there since I was a child, 65 plus years ago, and they're pretty safe for most everybody. So if people are listening to this recording, I really encourage people to get all the basic vaccinations.
And-
The other thing about measles, it's the number one, if you were looking at contagious, it's number one
It's
on the list.
it's so easy to
It's-
get.
Yeah.
It's very, very
It
contagious.
outranks the closest, it outranks chickenpox and all that, so extremely contagious.
I mean, I know our state, have a high vaccination rate, but what kind of visibility would we have from a town perspective if we were to have a major change in measles? Would Maven be able to pick that
Oh,
up?
yeah,
Is that
right
covered?
away.
Okay, that's how we,
Cause it's reportable, so.
okay.
And probably epidemiology would be all over everybody, every
Right.
coordinator
That's what I
to
figured.
follow up on the
From the
cases.
state down would be
Yeah.
Yeah.
at our doors,
Okay.
if there
We're
was
good
an
so far.
outbreak, yeah. Okay. Oh, wait, that's mine. Okay, next we have Title V reports perk tests. There's one for a perk test for Pitcherville Road.
It's just this one, and it got stuck on something, so that we got it released at the end of December,
Okay. And the test was. Okay. They did a soil suitability test. And our sanitarian reviewed everything. And there's 2 copies of it there. All right, if you want to do a quick look at that. While it's going around, we had, next items is water test well completion forms. First one is the beach portal testing results.
This is just a notification from,
Right.
that they posted it.
Yes, that, it's been posted from, by the,
Just says that there.
right, so there's a statewide beaches portal, and this is just saying that they got the reports. Okay? Okay. The next one is, 23 Natty Pond Drive, water report, which we had tabled from the January 28th meeting.
And this is the one where they had done the well last year, put in a new well, and then
Didn't do
didn't, right,
do a
so this is
secondary
the-
water
This is
test,
the,
what we
that's the-
call the kitchen water test
Right,
by
so-
nickname.
That's that.
Okay, this is just showing that it was entered into the portal.
This is the, that's probably the one that's on the corner there,
I'm not sure
the one they just built or something,
which, for what?
on Pine Crest.
No, that's just the,
That's just the beach portal thing.
that's the
that's the
beach
beach.
test.
Mm.
And that it's, the state did receive it all.
Yeah. It's kinda just a notification.
Yeah, it's a checks and balances.
Yeah.
And this is the water test from 23 Natty Pond Road, that they needed this, the second water test, not just the well one.
Always good to see reports like that.
Mhm. Negative.
Negative.
Yay. Okay, last year we were not getting the Hubbardston Center School water tests.
Those are just a couple. I told you I still have a whole bunch of
And
print.
these are from, what dates?
She's saying
Okay, we
the second-
have
open up the second page, which is
test
way down at the
results.
bottom. Right, I highlighted it.
February 3rd of 2025.
It's a helicopter. That's your
My flight,
life flight.
who will I have tomorrow?
Yeah.
And one from January 13th. And another one from these are the results, but let's see what we got on these results. Okay, there's a lot of them they're not doing. That one test, they are checking for all kinds of exotic things like perfluorooctanoic acid, abbreviated PFOA, and other things. And I don't see anything that's out of the ordinary. Here are these tests, results. So that's a good thing. There's no chemical problems noted. Yeah, you
Yep.
can look through it too, I didn't see
You
anything.
just sign that.
Yep.
I'm sure you would have heard if there were.
Well, that's why we have them all sent to us.
Yeah. Wow, PFAS, that report is pretty comprehensive.
Yes, it is. And that's good.
Yeah.
Periodically, that should be done at a school. So that's wonderful that they're checking.
You sign those.
No, I didn't. It's still
Okay.
not back to me.
Okay.
The next one to go around is the FAST report from 48 Gardner Road.
I didn't even.
Okay. EESS laboratory shows that the parameter called BOD is high. I don't know what that stands for. So we'll have to look into it, just to follow up. Otherwise, everything, on this.
BOD?
Yeah, BOD.
If I forget, I know I've seen it. Forget. Something bacteria, something or other.
Yeah, so we'll have to follow up on that. If you'll make that note that we need
Yeah,
to
I
do
did.
that. And that's in the wastewater system.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, has nothing to do at this point with the building, so. We need to follow up on it since it's high. All right, here, if you wanna look at it, that number is on the last page. Oops, wrong one.
Yep, these are all your.
Oh, that's still coming around.
Yeah.
Biochemical oxygen demand. Measures the amount of oxygen used by the microorganisms to break down organic matter in water.
Oh, I am not surprised it's high in the winter because of the cold temperatures. The only reason I know that is because of my husband was a chemical engineer. And, these kinds of things are temperature sensitive. As far as, needing to work harder to do the make the system work properly. But we'll keep an eye on it.
Yep,
Thank you for looking it up.
you're welcome. Oops.
Alright. And before we start on the new stack, we'll
Yeah,
get these
yeah.
passed through. While we're waiting, I think if that BOD is high again on the next report, we can have Phil review, some of the processes and make sure everything's working right on our behalf to 48 Gardner Road.
It's 31 right now. It's at 31.
Yeah, it's high
Yeah.
compared to the standard. I can only say it's high. Not that I know what those numbers are, but I look at what the standard is.
Yes.
So is this report, they only submit this to the Board of Health, do they make this report public as well?
The school,
Yeah.
I cannot answer that. I don't know.
Good question.
Yeah, that is a very good question.
Yeah, I think I'm curious to yeah, I would hope they can make this public, like there's a way you can actually access them for
I can't, I just don't have children in the school system, so I have no connection directly to be able to give you an answer.
I can take that follow-up action, find out.
Okay, so So
Yep.
you'll follow up to ask them?
I'll follow up on that.
With an email to them to ask?
Yep.
Okay.
This is different, right? This is for.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
48 Gardner Road, yeah.
And,
There's two sets too.
Yep.
Yep.
okay, whoever becomes chair has to be the right text. And legible writing. Where's the other one? Oh, there, oh, that one. Okay. All right, now we're gonna start on permits to be voted on or signed. We have Allward Corporation installer permit, J.E. Simpson excavating installer permit, Weathered Acre Farm temporary food permit, Hubbardston Rod and Gun Club food establishment permit, Stars and Stripes Diner food establishment permit, Hubbardston Market food establishment, frozen dessert, ice cream, retail tobacco, milk and cream. Council on Aging temporary food permit, Rieta Flea Market food establishment permit, Ladybug Farm residential kitchen and milk and cream. Hubbardston Center School, milk and cream. Studio Macaroons residential kitchen.
That's one stop.
Oh, I missed one stop?
I don't, you read that one. Underneath Hubbardston Market, it's the same thing.
Oh,
Oh, the one-stop shop?
Mm.
Yeah.
I did.
No,
Hubbardston one stop?
Isn't that the gas station?
Yes,
Yeah.
food
It is.
establishment,
Yeah.
frozen dessert, ice
Different.
cream, retail tobacco,
Mm.
milk and cream. Yes. Sorry, I did skip it. As they come around, Ladybug Farm I will not be signing, since I'm Ladybug Farm. I don't, you
She's
have to approve.
Ladybug.
If you are signing these permits as they come around, that is, our method of saying you approve of the permit.
Yep.
Without a vote on each one. Our signature is our approval.
What's Studio Macarons
She's got a residential kitchen
for?
making macarons.
Oh.
Yep,
It says
and-
macarons, that's why I was asking.
I think that's how she spells it.
That's how she's spelling it.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Mhm.
Instead of macaroons.
Right. Is that to get your attention?
Probably.
Maybe.
I wanna know where to get some of those.
I know, right?
Yeah, right, exactly.
She's online. She takes online orders, or, yeah. I don't know if it's Facebook too, I can't remember from when I did, her 2024 food inspection.
Oh, but
Missed one.
you missed, yeah.
Oh,
That's-
all right.
that's Simpson, I think,
Oh
isn't it?
boy, I'm doing a good job here.
Top page.
All right, you're gonna count them all at the end.
Mhm. I'll just
That's
check
on
them
the
off when I
paper,
get
how
them back.
that is.
She's the girl that goes to
Yes. This one, has filled out everything and she goes to read.
Oh, yeah.
So that's a very nice thing that she's, complying completely.
It's still a long way to drive.
From where that person lives, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Okay,
Would you make a note when you give this one to me to inspect? Would you be sure to say, I need to see this fellow in person?
Oh, okay.
Just make me a note,
All right.
yeah,
Okay.
Saves her.
yeah. And they need to, include an allergen form, there's none in here. Is it on his certificate?
It's, she said that when I talked to her, cause I called her about that, because is it Les?
Yeah.
Okay, he's checked off on, I don't know if it's on the last page.
It's
Cause I asked her about that.
CPR and AED, no. They need to get us one. Don't give it to them until they give us one.
Okay.
On the Rod and Gun Club, they have not included a certificate of allergen awareness. So she's gonna hold the, sending out the permit until they send that in.
$10 online.
Yeah, it's $10 online. It's, can be done very easily. And then if it has a yellow sticky on it, a
But
bit of,
I think I have her stuff, but
Okay.
it's just been such a week
Yes,
and a
okay.
half that
yeah,
I will check to make sure, but I think,
yes, she has a yellow sticky that some is owed, but she thinks
I
it
think
came
it,
in.
I will check it and I just have it all together and with
Because
the
it
move,
all
it's just
came-
been too much.
You know, even a simple office like mine is going to take a couple days to put together.
Mhm.
It only has this on it. Oh,
Because-
you did them all separate. Never mind, getting ahead of myself.
Actually, the Hubbardston one, that's not the one that needs the allergen certificate, or is the other one?
That one right there needs the allergen in your hand.
Okay, so we're still signing it.
Yes,
Yes,
but
I
she
will
will
send it out
hold
until.
sending it out until they get it back in. That's been our procedure this year.
It's market.
And Hubbardson Market has several that
Yeah.
are coming around because
One
they
stop
have
will be the same.
multiple permits.
Yeah.
I'm getting better.
There's 3 of them, so.
Boy, she's really moving.
Okay.
This one is this one? Oh, go back.
Oh, goodness. 90 days is normal. Good. Safety for them, and
Mhm.
revealing the building. this year. They had
Oh,
to,
good.
they had to do special, repairs, and it's working.
We actually outright bought the place, huh?
With apartment.
Mm.
Okay.
Alright.
Ooh,
And
this one's tobacco.
They have.
I see, so that's, yep.
And they have, 2 kids in the school. So, yep. They're committed.
Is that the frozen?
Frozen.
Okay.
Okay, good.
And they have their water test here on this one.
What?
There's an email about a water test.
It's right
It's
behind
a-
you, in
yeah,
your
That's
left
what I wanna
hand.
be
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just leave all my emails with this,
Okay.
everything.
All right.
Okay. I need that allergen awareness. I don't see it
I
anymore.
might, they were taking it, and I think she sent it, but I have to look in the.
Okay, just make a note to
Yeah,
check,
yeah.
okay? Just make a note to check.
I think she sent it to me, it's in my
Okay. We're just,
folder.
just, we double check before
Mhm.
we do all that, so. Alright, pass that one on.
Oh,
You're good at that.
trying,
Of course, I'm not signing that one, cause it's me,
okay.
alright? I can't do that legally.
Well, there's 2 pages here on
Yes, because one's a residential and one's a Milton Green.
the, okay.
So I'm still waiting for the fee on that one.
Now, is that goat's milk or cow milk?
Cow,
Is it organic or?
not organic, but local.
And Diana, there's 2 on that one.
Okay.
One right behind the other.
I know they have them at the office.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But we're also waiting on their, serve safe. They didn't have them here, an allergen. We need them in our files.
What
I need-
is,
For the school. They're not in here.
they're probably with the original one. This was the secondary, remember you wanted them to get a milk
Oh, right, okay.
So I think it's probably with the,
Okay.
the big thick packet that
Yeah,
we have.
alright, that's fine. Never mind, cross it off. Oh, I didn't finish on the standard one.
Sure, I have a question though. So in some of those reports for coliform, where it seems like, you know, how you actually show the result is either it's absent or present.
Yes.
But in some of them, they're actually showing you numeration,
right,
which is
like
eight.
on
Yeah, like
Ladybug.
on these ones, right? So there's an inconsistency. So in that sense, like if I have like, you know, 8 colony forming unit in a sample, is that okay? So it is present. Like which regulation are we following here? I'm curious. Just curious. Is it absent or present? Because in the footnote it says report absent or present.
Mm-hmm.
But they're actually showing you actual values, which
Right.
mean they recover something in the sample. I think that's not true for this one, but it's true for the couple ones that we just reviewed.
Mm-hmm.
How are we supposed to handle that? Is that kosher? How do
They
is-
should retest. Cause coliform can occur because it came from a faucet that was not cleaned on the outside and cleaned on the
Right,
inside.
correct.
Because bacteria and stuff can go back up into the faucet a ways when it's in the curve, and you're supposed to pre-clean the inside, flush water, hot water, cold water, hot water, so
Yeah.
that what comes through.
So let's see
So
that.
if it's on this one,
Let's step back. Let's see the one from the Hubbardston.
school,
Not this. Well, the school had it too, but the most recent one was one of the Hubbardston. Yeah, that one.
The one stop?
Yeah, the one-stop ones. Let me see again.
yeah.
I
So
was
if you
curious about-
see that it's more than like
Actually,
one or two
nope,
on the
that's
Must,
coliform.
maybe it's this one, the big one, for the food establishment. Oh, maybe this.
If it's like one or two,
And I guess for part of it too, I'm curious, is it depending on the lab that's testing this?
well, if it's completely absent, it's, the labs are,
Yeah.
that means it's zero.
Right, it should
Yeah.
be zero, right?
Yeah,
So
it's
in the,
zero.
in this one here, because they took the sample in the precinct, they take some sample from the well, which is the raw water, and they also take some sample, which is the entry point after all treatment. But the result they're recording here, it's 8.6
And where?
for every 100 mil. Is it,
At
that's,
what
that's the
location?
volume, that's the precinct one.
Okay,
But then, you know, the total coliform result here, there's a footnote 4 and 5. 4 says to report as number per 100 mil, present or absent. So I guess they can do whatever they want at this point here, according to this. They can report it exactly as is, or either present or absent.
it's usually what the, person requesting the test asks for.
Interesting.
Um,
Then you got.
and at what location was it present?
Well, in that case, it would be present in the precinct, and you'll also be present at the entry point after all treatment, which
If it is at the entry point, then it should be retested.
has 179 for every 100 mil that they tested.
Are you saying 179?
Let me look at that
colony?
again.
Yeah.
In that case, it could be 100 colony forming unit.
Testing size.
Or testing size. So if you look at this.
This is, it's just.
So, this is location, right? And this is the result, 8.6. This is fine because this is less than 1. That means you didn't
Yeah,
cover
that one's fine,
That
this
one's
one.
fine. Then you have this one, 178.9.
Right, they need to redo the test.
But over here, though, it does say that they can report it
Yeah.
as this white number per 100 mil, or present, or absent. Or of course, if you have the two numbers to count, that's when you actually have your entire.
So this is
covered.
the standard.
That's the E. coli one.
Okay,
E. coli is fine.
yeah, right.
That's the one I was worried about, is E. coli.
So in 5 says you need to collect that weight number, of repeat symptoms within 24 hours. Of lab with notification for coughing positive. The question is that positive, right?
I would say this, at the entry point, yes, cause it's above the 100.
So either.
This
whoever-
one should be retested,
Whoever tested the lab needs some kind of clarification, what's that
Yeah.
mean here?
yeah. Yep,
The lab should have started that. They should have.
that should have been highlighted.
They should have alerted on that.
Mm-hmm.
Or is this basically people have the tendency to misread this, and then they need more explanation, because you're looking at this and telling you that it's, there's
Mhm.
something here.
Yep,
Is it the coliform that's up or the E. coli that's up?
It's a
Coliform.
coliform, they have a separate line for it.
right, separate column.
E. coli is fine, it's less than 1. Yeah, this is the time that it was tested.
Yep. That, good catch. They should retest that. So-
Yeah, let's, reach out, I guess, to understand.
So, yeah,
Flush
have
the
to
system and then retest.
retest it, yep.
And that's the ones done.
Yeah.
Yep. That's
Yeah,
why
wonderful.
there's more than one pair of eyes looking at these things, cause we all catch different things. I focused on the manganese levels, cause I know that last year that this location had
Mhm.
high manganese, which is, not safe for the people.
And they're in a difficult spot because they get all the wash from the road and everything else.
But their water well
It's up
is,
behind.
There's no
Yeah, it's up
representation
behind.
of
So
the
they're-
normal
that should-
baseline.
Right.
hopefully not
Right.
affected.
They just throw those numbers in there.
Right. But what is it relative to?
Well, this was actually gonna be tested for the EPA regulation, right? This is all the chemicals tested. But I think here it says, I think this was thing for not detected,
Oh, okay.
and then
It's that.
that's the, I think that's the minimum that you can have in the system,
Okay.
right? And in their view, in their result column, nothing is detected, which is a good thing. Stitch. So that's
Yep.
a school one?
It's good, yeah.
Yeah, I know. We have stick in the game on that one.
And they don't have to test everything, they just have to test for coliform,
Okay.
okay?
Yep.
Just for coliform. Simple test,
They probably should flush the system first,
right. I recommend flushing their water system a little bit more first,
Yeah.
before retesting.
add Clorox or something like that.
Well, I can check that out with the, company that does their water treatment
Yeah,
system,
how they
not
do it.
whatever they say. Because
How they want it.
each water system,
Right.
treatment system is handled differently as to what you use. In mine, you put hydrogen peroxide in a certain tank.
Is that your signature?
Yeah.
So it all depends
Oh.
on the
That one.
system.
Yep.
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 I've now learned all that.
And I'm just gonna put the dates there.
Yeah, I was wondering about, like, do we make a note here or just leave it blank?
That's good.
Yeah, this is how we wanna see this result for the coliforms. This is the same lab, less than 1,
Mm-hmm.
right? There's, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
It should, that one they need to retest, and
Yeah.
it should, so certain labs will highlight those anytime indicating it's high, it's, present when it should be absent, they'll make a note.
Right.
This particular lab does not, so we do need to pay attention to this, the way, the method that this lab reports.
Now I can find out. Not missing anybody.
Yep, right
Okay,
here.
alright. So just should use that studio
Mhm.
macaron.
Macarons.
Macaron.
Now open septic or engineering plans this time, okay, that's good. Inspection report from Kathy, I haven't done any new inspections yet for this year. I do want to, state that, now I lost my train of thought. Oh, from our municipal haulers in town, that we should be sending out to them in March an email/letter requesting the number of households they're servicing and how much garbage and how much recycling they have picked up for the quarter. Because they're, by state law, they're supposed to be the tonnage reports, yes. They should be reporting that to us, just as a reminder.
Huh, okay, so that's something that you report every year or on a
Quarterly.
Quarterly.
You're supposed to do it quarterly. So March is coming up, it'll be the first.
Okay, but
That
but they've been compliant, they report that to us last quarter.
Only one of them.
Which one is that one?
E.L. Harvey sends reports, but the others have not. So we need to stay on top of it to remind them that they're due by the end of this, well, if it's the first quarter that it's due by the second week in April, right? Give
Right,
2 weeks
right,
to send it?
Right.
Right. I think if we just keep that as a quarterly reminder when it comes up, that we won't press them. Technically, we can fine them if they don't send in the reports.
That was my last question.
Yep, and we can put that in the reminder that if they don't send them, we will report it to the state and we have the right to fine them.
What about the licensing process? Don't they have to renew the license or permit every year through us?
Yes.
So could.
And we are looking for better compliance this year than last year. That's all we're gonna say. Keep it nice, but
Well,
just
yeah, of course.
remind them
Yeah.
that, we need this information. There is a possibility, of course, that we might do that regional, trash group, which is kind of tabled right now. I haven't heard any more requests for, oh, we do, okay.
She's like, all right, right
I
here
knew
for you.
it, all right, I haven't heard that there's been any.
Well, I just have what we have had.
Right.
But I haven't had any new emails from, Irene, requesting any additional information, but it is part of what the trash haulers should be supplying to us. So, okay. Zoo permit application. I would like to table that. I made a phone call to the phone number on the website a couple weeks ago and never got a response. So I don't know if they still have animals in Hubbardston anymore or if they withdrew them back to their original site. I also asked them for if they would send us copies. Did they respond? You got no phone messages or emails or anything? Cause I said, please send it to the Board of Health, give them a call and leave a message at extension 215, or send an email with the information as to the licensure that they already have. from the state.
Mhm.
And I got no response. But who knows? It's been a rough winter, and you know, if I had some animals and critters, I would take care of them first before responding. So we'll give them the benefit of the doubt for right now. So at this point, I do want to just table it for another meeting.
Okay.
Although the information that you've got in here
Mm-hmm.
is pretty comprehensive. Probably needs to be edited a little bit to line up with the way the other regulations are written.
Yeah, there's a copy of my draft.
Right, yes.
Yeah.
So if you would, review and make your edits on the draft that's included in your folder, and then we'll do something about it and get it on the books next meeting, okay? All right. So we have a little bit of discussion about it, but otherwise we're kind of tabling it so that people can edit it for us to actually talk about next time.
Okay.
Next is Irene Cogden's proposal on a regional trash
So I just
hauler.
have all this stuff, I don't know if you want to
Right.
talk about it.
Based on our last discussion, the areas that she highlighted in yellow, was mandatory recycling. And, in compliance with the Massachusetts waste ban regulations. And that, she recommended Town of Hubbardston establish a requirement of mandatory separation of recyclables from the solid waste stream. And we decided we already had that.
already had.
Yeah. That we didn't, that's not something we needed to do.
We can go back and look at our regs again, but
Yeah, we had looked at it, Judy and I had looked at it once after this, talk that she had given. Service for residential customers / generators. Bundled service must provide customers with solid waste and recyclables at a rate that reflects the cost of providing both services. Permitted hauler may itemize the invoice to clearly show the cost of recycling collection in a bundled service.
that's difficult. I mean, yeah, they should have some sort of chart.
A standard chart on
Yeah.
how it works.
But, it depends upon how many times you have trash picked up or what you have picked up.
Right,
You know,
I think,
Is it trash every single week and recycling every other week, or is it?
mhm.
I mean, I get trash and recycling every other week, and trash once a month.
Yeah, so the
Mhm.
individual can sign up
Right.
for specific amounts currently as independent customers. Every citizen and every household in Hubbardston can sign up for their own type of pickup. You have that. I have recycling and trash pickup weekly.
There
And
probably should be a chart.
Mhm.
Each trash hauler should probably, they could clarify it, make it simpler for the customer to
well, it
just
would
look
also
at it.
help us
Yeah.
know if they have standardized billing.
Yeah,
If you get this service, you pay this fee. If you get this service, you pay this fee.
yeah.
'Cause that sometimes comes into play. I've had one complaint that a company was charging them an amount on a monthly basis that I pay on a quarterly basis from the same hauler, a trash hauler. And, I'm not sure of the size of their containers or whatever, so, yeah, so we probably should include with that, letter to the trash haulers, not just the tonnage report,
Mhm.
but that we want a list of their standardized billing based on the service that they are providing for a certain customer type, whether it's weekly for both, recyclables every other week, whatever their type of service that they're providing, so that if we get complaints, we can understand their billing system.
Mhm.
Not that they just bill people willy-nilly, which a few years ago was happening. We had multiple complaints and we brought the trash hauler rep in and,
And those complaints were specifically from a payment issue standpoint, or in general?
this was for payment and the service they were or were not providing. And it was what they were not providing that they were supposed to be providing.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I'd have to go back through all my old notes to find the actual date when we had them come in 2 times over a summer and tell us how they were gonna fix what they were doing, or we were gonna shut them down for Hubbardston. They could not, and we would let other towns know, so that they would probably lose a lot of business if they didn't fix what they were doing with our folks in our town, because there was multiple complaints that were documented. It was several years ago.
Right.
So, let's see, mandatory recycling. I think at this point with Irene, she was giving us a draft, you know, how you should have it listed in your town, so whether we join a regional system or just maintain our own independent system, that the regulations are straightforward and standardized, and the yellow highlighted areas is what she thought we needed to correct in our, policy, in our regulations.
So this proposal for the original system, it's already been implemented in different town, we're just not
I
in there yet?
I haven't heard that.
Okay, so,
I'm not sure where it's at. She has additional, DEP responsibilities this year as of January 1st. So I'm not sure where this stands, so.
and this wouldn't be an option in which we have to make that decision to have a regional
group.
process
Mhm.
and then get rid of the local one that we currently have, or we can have both in parallel. And then the resident can choose.
The decision was that in Hubbardston, the resident could still choose to join the regional system
Or stay with what they have.
or stay with what they have.
Right.
But hopefully with the benefit of the regional, it would, be a larger customer base overall for a specific hauler
Mhm.
that the region selects. Therefore, prices would be monitored and maintained for a 3-year period.
Mhm.
As I recall, it was 3 years. And, complaints would go to a part-time person in another town. That would be the person's job, if there were complaints, is to handle the billing and handle any complaints. And, hopefully we would have a better, trash hauling and recyclable system for our few towns.
So here's a scenario from a standpoint in which where you have, like, we have Republic, we have Harvey. Okay, who else we have in here?
Waste
Waste
management.
management,
Waste management, that's
And there's
three.
another one. Is it
Linus?
Julius.
So who picked the schedule for those guys? Because in essence, I don't think I ever see 2 of them at the same time on the street.
They do their own schedules.
Now, Or we comes, because I know Harvey comes Thursdays, I think every Thursday, I think I see him in town. Republic, some guy come every Monday. Waste management, I don't try.
They're Wednesdays.
They're Wednesdays.
That's what we have.
So are we potentially looking at the big picture, if we have an additional,
It would be one of
it would be
those.
one of them anyway, so it wouldn't be a separate group of, coming in here.
Mhm.
And scheduling wouldn't be impacted, wouldn't come to a point where we have like two or three trucks flying through Main Street at the same time.
The hope is to have much fewer types of traffic.
Right.
You have everybody using one service, and maybe they have to, instead of coming one day a week, have to come 2 days to cover the whole number of
Yeah,
households.
right.
But that would be 2 fewer trash trucks
Right.
burning fuel
Right,
and wearing out the roads
right,
every week.
right, okay.
So therefore, it would be a green initiative in that you were saving fossil fuels and help keep our roads, you know,
Right.
without needing repaving as soon.
Okay.
Although, with all this crazy weather,
The fly in the ointment is, what happens when you have a regional system is they designate that they will come through on, say, Monday. Okay, so Hubbardston is Monday, and Rutland is Tuesday, and then somebody else. And that becomes almost rigid. That's the fly in the ointment. So, if you wanted something picked up or something changed, it becomes rigid over time, that's not gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
So you're gonna get responses like, well, we'd have to, I got this response from Verizon the other day. Well, if we, no, it's National Grid, and,
It was
if we,
fast.
yeah, to read the meters. And if we had to, change it to accommodate the fact that, you know, your meter is inside in the basement rather than outside, and we just had to accommodate this so that it was a church in this case, and the church is only open on so many days. We suggested moving it from Monday to Wednesday when there's like 6 people in the church. And they said, well, if we had to do that, then we'd have to change the entire city of Gardner. So
Jeez.
what they're saying is, because Gardner is assigned that on Monday, this is when we read the meters. So the same thing, you know, if you get into that kind of scheduling, over time, it becomes
Right, right.
it becomes rigid.
Right.
The other thing that we had talked about when we had this meeting with Irene, is that we have a set of regulations already, and then these were slightly different, so we were remember that discussion?
Right.
That we were gonna end up with 2 different
Right.
sets of regulations? So, and I don't see any movement on trying to merge those at all. What we had got from Irene was that, well, these should be the regulations.
Right.
The ones that we're proposing.
Right.
The one that she wanted to see.
Right.
And basically, she was kind of discarding our regulations, and they really should be merged. So there's a little more work
Oh, that needs to be done.
to be
for this,
done.
right, right.
Yeah.
all right, I'll try and send her an email, making myself a note, to see, number one, where she feels the status of this whole project is, and then how do we merge our regs?
Well, I would find out, I wouldn't even bring up the merges, find out first where,
Yeah,
what the
I would
status
find-
is, where is she at and where is she going?
Yeah,
I mean, I would imagine the scenario in which she mentioned that, well, it would be great to only have one regulation, but it would fall upon us to actually decide how we do it.
Right.
Because we would have to merge and find alignment within
Right.
those 2 regulations, because we can't have 2 sets of regulations
No.
for it, yeah.
So, I mean, my understanding is that there are some powers that be in the town that would like to go this way, because they think this is a good idea, but we as the board have already expressed that we don't think it's a good idea to go regional, mostly because the regs are so different one
Right.
from another.
We were standing at the point that we wanted them to move to the next step, but I haven't heard the next step.
Right.
Yeah,
That's where we're at, and we're kinda I don't know where it stands. And again, I think she has additional responsibilities, and so I'm not sure, how much
Yeah.
movement and when, I can't remember the time frame. We still could be within the time frame that she had maybe verbalized, but I don't see it anywhere in any of the paperwork, so we'll have to see. So that's, we're, I guess we'll leave it on the agenda.
Okay.
All right, Mark Popham, 2025, landfill contract. We are currently, as of this past year, seems to be okay to be doing this once a year. And we're just gonna leave it at that. We haven't heard otherwise. There are two things, let's see. 2 additional shallow probe locations, I think need to be redug, if I'm not mistaken. Let me read this again. He wants to do it in the spring. We need to do it after, July 1st. So we need to ask for that change. The way to get this funded is when warrant time comes up. It's been recommended to me that we put it in as a special warrant for approval by the town at the town meeting to have it paid, rather than be one of the standard line items in the town budget, at least for this year.
Well, so when you say that is for this year, Cindy, that mean
So that
what happened
the
2
money
years
will
from now?
not be available until July 1st of 2025, after the town meeting. So it's the fiscal year 2026.
Right.
So we need that wording changed. Cannot be done in the spring. Has to be done after July 1st. I'm just rereading this, make sure I haven't missed any. Oh, here's the second copy, right?
Yeah.
Well, somebody else can start reading that one.
So, so this is still part of the landfill that's closed,
right.
The land, yeah,
right?
that's been closed for over 30 years now.
Right, so this is the part I guess I still don't understand, which, I remember I think last week, the last meeting, you had someone here going over a Board of Health, jurisdictions in what we can and cannot do by law, right? My question was always to me, do we have the ability to understand from the state, what is that threshold of monitoring? Like, we're gonna keep monitoring for 100 years, 30 years, like
The way
what?
the state is going right now,
The state sets
yeah,
when you can stop, not the town.
and they
Right.
haven't said, and they haven't, and we've asked multiple times.
We've applied multiple times to decrease the testing.
So we're just testing it indefinitely?
When we started this testing, it was like 4 times a year, and it was a lot cheaper too, it was like we were still dealing with a $10,000 a year bill.
But it was for 4 times a year.
And we had some money, and and then we used it all up, and then that's been the controversy since is, you know, first of all, why are we doing, we did get it reduced to twice a year, And then they've just been stubborn, they keep saying, you know, that we want you to continue to test. And the other piece of it is that
Yeah, I'm looking
it's
for it.
costing us so
Where
much
is it? Where is
when the
it?
tests always, from day one, have come back without any kind of significant
Where have I missed?
And how long,
Issues.
how long has it been closed?
30 years.
This is this,
Okay.
It was in
Massachusetts
the
is very-
90s, and it was paper.
Yeah, I mean, I
products
guess
that-
what I wanna understand is essentially what is the post-closure monitoring requirement? Like if it's you testing, there must be like a time frame where.
There's, the
It's
end,
almost-
the end is like open. It's
It's
like an
open-ended.
open-ended, and
Yeah.
it's all up to E DEP.
Yes, and we were denied last year again.
And you wonder how places go bankrupt, right? It's like,
Uh-huh.
okay.
Especially for something like this where it is shown absolutely, and you
Yes,
know,
I think
what
it is.
drives me crazy is that we're testing it, but yet this same method of covering up a field with
Here.
paper product
Yes.
is out there already, and people are using it in other places, and they're not having this requirement. This is just nuts that we're, after 30 years, that we're still having to test it when the test is from day one has been,
Fine.
has been fine, you know, has been negative for any kind of
For all
issues.
kinds of chemicals that are this long.
So we've proven that it works, and like I said, I know of other places that have now, general businesses, that have now gone and started using paper to cover certain fields, and they don't get any of
All
this kind
flushed
of
out. Okay.
monitoring placed on them.
We're gonna have to change the letters saying.
So,
we're
but
not
the,
testing
the,
till we get
the
the
concept
flush
has
out
been
part.
proven,
So I'll email them back.
50
and just
times
ask
over.
them to-
that it,
So just make
It's
notes what
safe.
you want me to email them about.
what we should do is have a DEP representative come and talk to us face to face.
That's what I'm proposing here. The-
So
We
can you
have-
ask,
I
Mark,
believe in the past, we have asked them to come and talk to
who the
us.
DEP
and
representative for our
they have
area
not-
is regarding landfill testing?
Agreed.
Just,
We could try again, but they really shouldn't talk to us face to face and give us a decent explanation as to why they have such an open-ended testing on something that's already proven itself to be safe and fine. And they refuse to, I mean, the field is good, you know, yet they've refused, even when a small business had requested to use some of the field for planting flowers. They said no.
test, slate. Okay.
So what do we do with this? We're not signing, we're just.
No, we're
for
not.
over
We're not
it.
signing.
Yeah,
That was just for you to read it.
So, we
Like
will
that
not be
time.
doing this in section A. He requests sampling survey be conducted in spring. We cannot do it until after, July 1. Second, in an email, he had said that we need to, one of the well test sites needs to be flushed out or repair. I don't recall seeing which site, which one it is that needs it. Did you see that? So I need to confirm that. And then in the the second page, the total fee, he's expecting it to be $5,865 for this year. And, he anticipates to be invoiced prior to June 30th, which of course it can't be. It should be prior to July 31st if we have the test done, because we cannot do it in the current fiscal year. It's gonna have to be done in fiscal year 2026.
I think we're gonna end up being tested in the fall, cause something tells me that we need the ground to be a little more moist than it is in the summer.
Not last summer. Last fall was
That's
dry
right,
and last summer
that's-
was wet, so, yeah, I know, but it
I think that's
can't
what,
be-
that was his reasoning, is that spring and fall, cause they're
Right.
generally more moist.
Right, and at this time, we are doing an annual test, and just, it's been turned into the state, and we're keeping it there.
And this is one-time annual test.
Yeah.
It used to be two ways,
Okay,
yeah.
so-
But, we only turned in one yet last year, and no one has hollered at us.
So
So, shh.
we did it once last year and,
Yeah.
okay, but previously we used to do like
We
twice.
had to. We were told we had to. We were only able to afford one test last year, so we only had one test done. No one has yelled at us, so we're gonna continue at one a year. So whether we contact DEP or not, just yet, I'm not sure.
No, I think there's value to making sure that everything is integral. No one is going in there doing something that would be causing things to leach out, right? At least once every 2 years or 3 years, but the idea of every year
Yes.
is excessive.
So that's it.
But we still need to know where that is.
Mm-hmm.
On a map. He needs to show us on a map of the where that is. I have walked the landfill site. I know where some of the test holes are. I need to know which one this is. We're not randomly going in there without knowing exactly which one that is.
Okay. Oh.
You see what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Agreed,
What a fun field trip. We can all go to the landfill fill in the spring.
I would love to.
Yeah, I haven't walked it in a long time. It'd be worth it.
I'll bring a chainsaw. There's a tree growing that they don't like us to have there, according to the DEP. So we have to cut it down. Didn't do it a few years ago. Then we had, this has gotta be 5 years now, I'm sorry to say. COVID hit and all the rest of life changed, and I've not been back to take the tree down myself, so. I'm sure we need an electric chainsaw now to take it down with. It's probably grown quite a bit. It's supposed to be just totally mowable, you know? And I attended that walk with, the DEP rep at that time.
Oh yeah, that's another thing too, because we also pay for mowing the area.
Mm-hmm.
That's not part of that, obviously that's separate.
No.
So part of the request you're gonna put in the town annual budget, would that include the mowing as well, for money for it?
Well,
I think this is one bucket, the money has to be one thing. We need X amount of money to actually monitor and maintain.
I think that's something to think about.
Yeah,
We should look at what we have in each account to know if it's something as from the monies we have collected for fees, if there's money to cover that lawn mowing, from our own fees that have been collected for other things,
Mhm.
or whether it needs to be a, fee that is, paid
Right.
by everyone.
Right, okay.
So we need to look at the budget, where we stand.
Because it's
before the next
it's a
one.
state property, that piece of land, whether it's a state land or, because the way you explained that
It's
to me before,
regulated
it's
by the
regulated by DEP.
DEP, yep.
And
And the DCR actually owns the land.
DCR owns the land.
Yeah.
but Board of Health is paying to cut the grass. That seems odd to me.
We are,
So, I mean,
because
yeah, but
that's how everyone,
doesn't mean we
the
can
little
challenge it,
fish
but yeah.
can't always
Yeah, okay.
fight the war in a big pond.
Well, let's
And
try.
that's- But we can try.
Yeah.
That's my summary of how that has happened over the years, based on what I know. Okay, reapprove inspectors. I have not gotten any further information that any regional service will provide a housing inspector, so, and/or complaints. So, if the complaint is about food, I ask that you would reassign me to do food complaints. I intend to continue as a food inspector even after I'm off the board. I plan to get the new state requirements met, for that state licensure, if you will. So therefore, asking that we approve myself as the food inspector and food complaints only. And that housing and other complaints would be handled by Richard Stevens. He agreed to do that. His fee typically is $50 per complaint. However, if there's unusual circumstances, we'll have to vote on it if he submits something else. He agreed to it verbally in December, and I haven't gotten any information regionally or from Mike Hugo that there is anyone available to do that. So that would cover, and then Phil Ledger is our sanitarian and does all the septics, so we should reapprove his position as primary sanitarian for our town.
So to recap, right, we have the primary, the sanitarian,
Yep, Phil Ledger,
right?
and we should reapprove him.
Yeah,
He has not raised his rates, does a good job.
and you have a food inspector.
Yep,
That would-
myself,
And a food complaint, you mentioned, right, that would be part of the same scope of the food inspector.
correct.
And there's the third,
Richard
Housing.
Stevens is for
Housing.
housing and
complaint.
other complaints.
and, okay. So in essence, what you're saying is even when you,
Leave the board, I will still be the food inspector.
right,
And when I leave the board, you will start paying me.
right, that's what because this is all work that's been done for the
I-
motion, nobody did, right?
I have done it as a volunteer.
Right.
Because I serve on the board, and it's a conflict of interest to ask for payment for something that I vote on.
Right, okay.
So, somebody wanna make a motion to approve the 3 inspectors? I cannot, I have to abstain, because I'm one of the inspectors, potential inspectors.
As she
Come on,
looks at
Judy.
me.
So you said,
I make-
okay, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead, I'm just.
I make a motion that we approve, housing, inspector as Richard Stevens, food inspector as Kathy Hansgate, and septic inspector as.
Sanitarian. Cause that covers everything.
Sanitarian, as Phil Ledger for the coming year.
Calendar year of 2025. Second?
I second.
I second, yeah, but, okay, I have questions, but we already
Sure,
voted.
before we vote.
Well, part of it is just because for me, I'm trying to understand continuity for this, because the idea of you leaving us sounds really interesting and scary. So,
I'm looking at you to take over, come
No.
on, yes, sir.
So, but in reality, so there's a couple of things, right? So, Bill Ledger has always been there, so.
Phil Ledger is-
Phil Ledger, sorry, we've been paying him, so
Yep.
therefore, money's already been allocated to pay for that.
Yep,
The fees,
Well, you're right,
his
is the
fee
fees-
is included in,
his inspection
His-
fees are included in the fees.
Right,
For
right,
anything that
right.
has to do with septic, Title V, perks,
The housing complaint is, Richard Stevens, right?
and it's gonna have to come out of the BOH revolving account.
Right.
That would be hoarding and things like that.
Right,
Yeah.
which is good. But the food inspector, which.
We collect a fee for a food inspection on the forms.
Right. So in essence, there's potentially an increase of spending from our account. Are we gonna have enough money to cover for that?
Yes, cause it's collected with every fee, that every residential kitchen pays a permit fee
Right.
and an inspection fee.
Perfect. Yeah, because what I'm seeing is we cannot operate without these roles.
Correct.
And we need to make sure that they're embedded into our process.
Right, and the fee for food inspections is charged $80, but part of that is office work fee. The inspector typically asks for $50.
Okay. When is your term over?
June 30th,
Jeez. Next year.
right
No,
now.
This year.
this year.
Right now.
And next year, I'm gone.
I'm looking at you for chairman, come on.
No.
Yes, sir.
So
Somebody
you
has to
gone as
take it.
well?
Next year,
Your term is June 27?
26.
26,
Yeah,
You
you guys are
did.
important.
and you guys don't wanna come back, huh?
I've done it.
I'm getting
Over the
old.
3 peaks. And she's
You're looking
now
great,
done.
so.
She's done it in the 90s and then she's come back.
Yeah, I took some time off to take care of my
So there's a likelihood
parents.
you're gonna come back again.
No.
I'm kidding. Alright, no, that's.
I'm not revoking that I would not pass on anything and everything that I know and that I've learned. But, yeah.
Okay.
And I'm still gonna be involved, cause I'm still willing to do all the food stuff, basically. And
Okay,
we're trying to become sufficient, and along with the new online forms that, will be worked on, so that, it can be filled out online, and things can be approved more efficiently to
Right,
use
right.
less office time, and therefore keep the fees where they are as much as we can, to keep business in Hubbardston as much as we can.
Right.
Yeah,
Very good.
but I've served in excess of 9 years. I started before my 3 elected terms,
Alright.
and I think that's fair. That's where I stand, and I'm
Okay.
sticking to it, as they say.
Sticking to it, nothing's gonna change your mind.
Well, I have conceded. I'm going to help with food.
Oh my goodness, no,
I
that's,
have
that's
conceded, that
great.
is a concession, because initially I said I was dropping everything.
Right. Alright.
so we have.
So
on
now
the
you have
floor.
any other
So-
questions?
Nope, no more questions. Any questions?
So
Do you vote
bring it to a
yes?
vote.
No, I, yes.
There you go, I think this is great, I mean, this is awesome
So
that
that's a
you-
yes too, and you're a
Yeah,
yes?
Yes.
Yes.
And I
yeah.
have to abstain because it affects me directly.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And I've been on the board twice, what you have?
Yes, you
18
have.
18 years.
She's been on for over 18 years. Yeah.
Glutton for punishment.
Oh my goodness, that's okay.
So, talk to your neighbors and friends that live in town.
Yeah, because in essence, really by next town elections,
Well, this June, we need
we need to,
another person on the board.
well, 2 really. Well, you next year, that's right, okay, yeah.
We need help.
Don't kick her out. We need to.
Yes, well, I mean, I said 2027, right, is that what it is?
26.
26.
I know,
Oh,
I'm kidding.
it's trying to get another year out of you.
Yes, right.
Oh, boy.
I'll be sitting in my office down the road.
That's right.
There's no door around the office, so you're welcome to
So
come
she
anytime.
also serves as the emergency
Management.
management director for the town.
Right, so because our town, we don't really have a,
We do. We have an emergency group.
we do, right, and you're the director? Okay, so would you still maintain that role? Okay, well, that's good.
So we're not stopping.
Right.
We're just
Right.
narrowing our volunteerism.
Okay, so basically there's continuity for
So
this,
when I
right? We
get
get
to
people.
be 80, then, you know, I can actually honestly say, I'm retiring. I'm retiring or being retired.
Okay, all right.
Okay, thank you. New business, drought alert.
I just got that notification
And when
that
it-
it
what's
is
that?
But this is,
still-
it was doing good, right?
No.
No, we're still in a
Still a
drought,
drought?
Massachusetts is still in a drought.
Hard to
Right.
believe.
I know, how do you measure that? I mean, I'm hoping spring is gonna
Central
be better.
and northeast regions are still considered critical.
Seriously?
People don't realize that.
We got so dry in the fall.
Right, and then,
That-
you know,
We've had yucky weather, however, it's not enough total water to take us out of the drought.
And we're actually way behind on the snow. You know, we typically, we've got usually twice what we've got on the ground.
I know. We don't need what we got in 2015,
yeah.
which was more than, Hubbardston had more than Worcester, which was
Yeah.
supposedly the most in the
Yeah,
state.
that
Hubbardston
was
still
the
had
year
more.
where the snow was up to the windows, but.
But we are still much lower than many years. Yep.
Yeah, that was my first full winter here in Hubbardston. I was like, oh my gosh, what are we doing?
What did I walk into?
Then we have turnovers to review,
Unexpected subject.
I have.
unexpected subjects, sorry.
So we wanna explain that whatever it is, FTPH survey?
What's that?
Well,
Okay, there's
we had a series of emails that went back and forth with,
and I don't know if you guys got those.
may not have,
The regional MPHN out of Fitchburg is required to participate in
I think it's FTPH, I forget. It's a survey, and there's a local component, and the question was, and Kathy and I were looking at this email, like, have you completed it, you know, do you need assistance, do you need help to get it completed, this survey? You know, I said, well, you know, I know about this survey because when Mike was here, Mike.
and did a presentation. He said there was one occurring.
Yeah, and there's a local component, but as of their emails that were going back and forth between
The-
Kathy and me
and this-
and Catherine Hoover out of
And the
MPH.
person, and now a person who can assist us to get it done.
we hadn't seen it yet, so.
So,
It
so
would've may come
so
possibly to you first, so you
I,
haven't seen anything
I-
like that.
I haven't,
so the last email I got was from a person directly to me saying, I heard that me, Kathy, and it came in today's email, and I forget who it was from.
Doug? Is it Doug?
I forget the name, I don't wanna
Yeah.
postulate what it might be. I can help you answer this survey. And I said, okay, thank you. I responded, please send me a copy of the information you're looking for so I can review it, and then we can talk on the phone. I can give him the answers and he can enter all the information however he wants to enter it, based on what information they're looking for. And some of it is financial for the fiscal year 2024. So that goes back a couple
And
years.
some of it's data, just plain data, numbers.
You know, staffing and so on. So
What do you
for-
mean that-
But we still actually haven't seen this survey.
What's the intent of the information that they were trying to obtain?
It's from the state, and it's to help develop regional, health units, if you will. I don't know what the right word
It's also
is.
supposed to provide
That was
funding.
his
Also-
whole thing for
And
Mike,
Yeah,
right?
right,
The whole-
That-
and,
Mike's
and
whole
it's also
point.
supposed to
help provide funding to each health
each town
department.
and some equity in the distribution
Of
of the,
funds.
of funds for health programs
Okay.
that the Board of Health wants to participate in.
So we do need to participate in the survey so that maybe we have a source of funding based on what Mike Hugo said in his presentation a while
Yeah,
back.
the funding comes to Fitchburg,
Regional
and then they're supposed to.
MPHN.
Yeah, so that's why there was such a big push for everybody to join some sort of coalition, and that's why all of a sudden, after COVID, all of a sudden you had all kinds of coalitions popping up all over the place. And this is part of that, coalition formation, because now funds are supposed to come down, so this, for us, it would be Massachusetts funds would come down to them, and then they're supposed to distribute it and support help support programs. And that was the big discussion we had with Mike, is like, rural health has always been, they
Neglected.
talk about it, but they don't do anything about it.
But you haven't heard much.
But the state funding for that is what he said.
He said there's state funding for it, but
Right.
the
He's
question
also
is,
pushing all
are we
these
gonna
other
see it?
things, too.
Again, cause
He's-
rural health very often gets shoved to the back, gets put on a shelf and forgotten, so.
Hmm.
When you go to some of these rural health, public health, meetings or conferences or something like that, that's the number one complaint. Rural health just gets
Pushed aside.
So, that was what Mike was saying, that we need to stand up, but part of standing up for ourselves is
Filling out the
actually
survey. So
in
it's
getting
just-
the survey. So, did you actually see the survey yet?
Nope, I asked for a copy of it.
So nobody's seen it?
I just emailed the fellow who said he would help us do it for a copy of it.
Yeah.
So under unexpected business also, FEP is another emergency regional organization. And, Judy wrote a wonderful letter, asking for 3 AEDs machines for the town. And, I participated in the meeting and we did get one approved. Because the senior center, is used sometimes for emergency sites. When we have bad weather and stuff for seniors, they can come, or it's too hot. And so we will get one, whatever they cost, AED from the funds that FEP, PHEP, which is the Regional Emergency Coalition, that even though we don't necessarily always attend meetings or anything, or take leadership in it, we are, still a participant in it.
Public health emergency planning.
Another unexpected subject, quickly, I did apply for a public health intern.
Oh, cool.
And, the application was accepted, and the person in charge of that program sent out a blip now which showed the, information that they're sending to all the public health students, at UMass and other places, as to, if they want to apply. This would be free to us. The cost of it is covered, through study credits and other things, whether they're community college, 4-year college or postgraduate. So I did apply for one. If we do get one, we'll have the person from, middle May through, about the middle of August. And, I filled in a summary of, where we could use their help most, and that we would also take them out. In my case, I would provide them the opportunity to see food inspections in person and stuff, so.
So how long gonna have this, a person for?
3 months.
3
You
months.
said.
And it's a total of, it's about 15 hours a week
Right, and then.
they give you.
And the current project you have for them is to.
Is data, scanning, help get our department organized.
Right, and would that be, at the end of her, I'm just kidding.
His or her.
His or her, sorry, I guess you can see where my mind is going. I just hired 2 interns for the summer and they're both females and.
So it's on your mind.
Yeah, it's on my mind. I saw that email and I had an idea too as well, but I wasn't sure how long they have, which is circle back to the whole mowing and maintaining the landfill. Would at the end of this, would that person has the ability to actually kind of present what they've been working on?
They have
To
to
us.
file a report to us and to whichever college that they're getting extra credits
Okay.
for.
So the idea I have, I'm curious, because I've been looking at the regulation for the solid waste management, which I believe is actually 310 CMR 1900. It's kind of referred to the contract we received for it. I was wondering if the person would have time to actually look at this document and try to understand also the requirement for post-closure for landfill, because the way I'm reading it, it's basically 30 years. After 30 years, you don't have to test it anymore, but it seems like you actually have to put a request to Mass DEP to actually stop the testing, because after 30 years that you're gonna fulfill that contract. I'm curious to understand if every town, or not just every town actually, wherever we actually have landfill, how many that is over 30 years that are still being tested. Is that something
That is something
research?
that we should be able to get from the state.
Right, well,
Right.
would that person kind of like do that
We
for
could add
us?
that to one of the things
Right.
that we ask the intern to do for us.
Right, it's a pretty simple, because right now the way I'm reading this, it clearly says that as a matter of fact, there is a potential for a post-closure period waiver where any town or any municipalities can actually, upon request, reduce the post-closure period to less than 30 years for testing. But again, I may be reading this completely wrong, but this is the way I'm reading it. In which where 30 years period was the only time you have for testing. Again, I'm not actually pushing somehow we'll just stop testing 100%, but I'm curious to understand, is 30 years is the requirement? So you test it for 30 years, you have enough data to show everything is fine. Again, I've never been to a landfill before. I would like probably to see it. Is there potential someone breaks something where a vent is open up to the environment? How do you make sure people don't do it anymore? Or is there an inspection that can be done as opposed to quote-unquote testing on a yearly basis? You just walk the ground, making sure everything is fine, you file a report, it's clear, but no actual testing is performed, you don't have to spend all that money. Just
Good idea.
curious, because that's something that the person could do.
And if it says it's in which, what is this?
So the one I'm reading is actually
What
it's
is
310 CMR, it's the regulation, 310 CMR 19, let me get the right one, 19.000. And I think it's referenced in the contract, in the contract by,
Oh, he referenced it.
yeah, he
right.
referenced it. That's why I started pulling it up. 310 CMR from the DEP is the solid waste management regulation.
So I guess we're bringing it up again.
Yeah. Can we put you in charge of it?
Of what?
Pulling up the full reg,
Yeah, I can.
printing it off,
I can provide
putting
us
together a
and
letter that
what
we write
exactly-
to,
Yeah,
and to whom it has to be addressed.
right.
Stating that based on this regulation, we are asking that,
Cause it's
annual-
been 30 years.
Mhm.
So right, that was the part, yeah.
Annual landfill
It was
testing.
95.
Wow.
So,
Annual landfill testing, no longer be required.
Right. And again, so maybe there's other regulation guiding this, maybe there's a federal aspect to it, but that's basically what I would like
In
that.
particular, you know, if you pull up all our testing results, we have never had, any tests come back with results that were worrisome or above normal.
Right,
and
but
I
if it's,
think I think there's maybe only one, possibly two other sites. So, it was a very limited number.
A
In
site
Hubbardston?
No,
Oh,
in the state
In
in
the
general,
state.
okay.
oh, I was gonna say.
that are at 30 years closure.
no, that were chosen to test this out, so they would be coming up
Oh,
on
for the
30.
type
Oh,
of
for-
landfill
Yeah,
code.
and they would be
code.
coming up on 30 years,
So in that case, in ours, if it's 1995, the 30-year would be this year.
yeah.
Okay. So in essence,
We should.
we should still be on, we are in,
At the point
we're at the
where
point
we
where-
want to be considered to
Stop.
not have to do testing starting 2026.
right, so
Yes.
that was the other question, when, if we have accurate information when the landfill was closed, because if it's
Yeah.
30 years, then this year is the 30th
So
year.
that might be in those archived files that are still over there in the
Mhm.
library.
Okay. But
And
yeah.
then no mowing and the tree can
Well,
stay.
the
No,
mowing
it
part.
takes
The tree
Yeah.
can stay,
I like this, I like
No,
where it's
yeah, I
going.
mean, there might be other, I'm sure it is important, because I think you can't do anything on it by law. There's a regulation that you can't really put anything on it, it seems like.
Other than solar.
Oh, you can put solar on them?
I know that you can, I've seen it at Acton's,
Okay.
they have
Well,
solar
that's
over
true. I mean, that's
one
a
of their
good use
sections.
of the land, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, the mowing part is a whole different story,
Well,
right?
that solar that can come to the Board of Health Fund.
Oh, that would be great,
Or
right?
the town,
Out
they
Out
can
of
come to the
town.
town,
Right.
goodness sakes.
Innovative.
Right, yeah, right, it's owned by DCR, they would wanna take that profit for themselves, okay, but yeah, so yeah, I can actually, print out and send this and
then-
kinda like put a list of what our request would be, should we be
Mhm.
considered for
Yep.
no more testing after the 30-year period.
Right, based on the
Based on
regulation.
this. And it's important for us to kind of find out exactly the true closure
Closing date,
right,
yeah,
so,
it's somewheres.
yeah. Okay.
We can probably also ask Mark Popham
Mhm.
the closing date.
I think it's in some of the letters though,
Some
Well,
of his previous letters.
Is it
Well-
95 or 96? Is that
No, I
one of
thought it
those
was
two?
94 or 95.
Yeah, okay.
I don't think it was
It
96.
was right around that. It wasn't too long after I started on board.
Okay, are we done with
I
unexpected
don't know, we can
subjects?
come up with something else.
Make it an even number here.
Yeah.
Alright. Complaints, we have, knock on wood, haven't had any new complaints. So we'll then move on to turnovers and warrants. We have turnovers to review. Turnovers are monies deposited,
and I put down
and on the bottom she wrote in
what account.
what account they go into.
Do you have to sign any of these?
I will,
Kathy will
I will
when
at
she
the
comes
end.
back, when they come back.
Okay. And look at all this money, man. I could use money in my bank account.
we don't get a pen.
The other day I had $100 left.
No.
I was counting pennies to make sure I can get to my social security check. I trust your intuition.
Well, the treasurer or assistant treasurer collector.
Yeah, Mary, it's
Yeah,
She'll
they-
keep us on our toes whether we want to be on our
Well,
toes or not.
they won't sign off on it if it's not correct.
No, Mary's a stickler, so.
That's wonderful.
Well, I would hope so, that, you know,
Yes,
that's the way
exactly,
a treasurer
that's their
has to be.
Joe.
Do you have the time?
9:00.
I would like
So
to,
the next meeting date
Yep.
is Tuesday?
I would like to adjourn the meeting at 9:05 PM with a reminder that the next meeting date is Tuesday, March 11th, 2025, at 7 PM here in the Slade Building.
It's 9
This
o'clock.
year.
It's 9 o'clock.
It's 9 o'clock?
9:01, yeah.
Excuse me, 9 o'clock, not 9:05. 9 o'clock, all right?
So we still meeting here, we haven't moved yet?
No, because that part